start the recording and officially good evening. Welcome to Market Watch Group Monday Mentor Hour. So here's the deal. I don't want it to ever be like where it's like it feels condescending in any way. Beginners Q&A. The powers that be wanted me to make sure we had a number of classes with the word beginner in it, so they feel comfortable with those classes. I'm like, I think everyone's comfortable with every class, but beginners Q&A, everyone's Q&A. Every question matters. Yes. Good to see everybody. My name is Scott. I'll be your host, as always. Disclaimers, education illustrated purposes only. Nothing should be intended or construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security, financial product. We're not brokers. We're not advisors. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, to the platform. Let's go look at the platform. Okay. Oops, I went the wrong way. Let's go to the platform. Here we are. And let's get... Let me see. Where am I? Okay, yeah, 3 months. Perfect. Today's volume. Did we get another? Well, let me see two things. It is a buy day. Okay. However, it's not really a buy day. We only got 65 cents, 0.11%. Honestly, I think I'm looking for at least that. I mean, maybe it's not formal rule of 0.5% or more, but we gapped down, we rallied. It is above average volume today, but it's a tie. So if you notice, we've got let me see, 68 million today, 64 million. 64 million. What is that average? Let's just see. Why can't I get a calculator here? Hold on. And then we're going to jump into those orders. Why can't I find a calculator? There it is. 68 divided by 64. Yeah. Average volume only. I'm going to give it a tie. So, what order? What trade? What trade should we use as an example? Maybe the IBM trade? I think I have an example of that. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, yeah, we got a couple of things in here to look at. Let's use this IBM. Let's take a look. Is this good? I want to make sure everyone, when we think about orders, are we thinking on options? Are we thinking options? Okay. Everyone says options. Great. Give me a second here. I need to help my wife silence the smoke detector. She's cooking some steaks. It's telling me that it's going to go off here in a second. Okay, done. Sorry. All set. Okay, here we go. So we've got 2 left here. I think that makes sense. Yeah. Now, we're going to go 2 different ways. Number 1, conditional or contingent. Number 2, OCO. So there's 2 distinct mechanisms that you can use to bracket an options trade with. Okay, so let me just orient myself on this trade. Something looks way off here. Let me... $25. Something looks weird about the trade, though. I don't know why. Let's get a stop loss. At this point, Heiken Ashi is a good thought process. For tomorrow, I think we can use today's low. If we did the 4-hour, I think it might have chopped it up a little bit. Okay, so no, actually I'm wrong. A little more aggressive, 265 and 80. That's the 4-hour. A little more conservative. 262.80. So 262 versus 265.80. Let's start with 262.80. $262.80. Something looks off. Like there's something wrong with this. Anyway, I'm not sure. This is the paper account, so there could be something wonky with it. But anyway, I've got 2 contracts. Right now, it's got a profit of a couple $100. Yeah, no, this is fine. This is fine to look at. So, and here's why I do think it's easier, and I want you to ask questions as we go, so I know, that it's satisfying what we're doing here. But for me, the stock is where I'm right or wrong. That's the first thing. For us to get a OCO bracket order, we're going to have to translate the stock price with the target and the stop into what that would equate to on the option. There's something wonky, like I said, going on with it, but it's all right. We'll figure it out. So theoretically, I paid... See, I swear this is off. 222, 339. I swear something's off there. IBM 219. 735. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with it. Something happened with this weird paper account. I did take, that sounds right. I remember paying about 2 and something and selling some of it on Friday, but there's still a piece on. It seems different than this, but whatever. We're gonna make it work. It's throwing me off a little bit, you can tell. But we're going to work off of this number of 339. I'm not exactly sure where that's coming from. This says 247 profit. Oh, let me get this to today. Okay, 250. Steve has a question, which is great. Is the interest always 5.5%? Does it matter? No. To the first part, it's not always 5.5. Yes, it matters, but mildly so. Okay? So everything down here is our variables for our option Greeks. A lot of people are familiar with what's called the Black-Scholes, which is in here. You can actually see. You could switch it to Black-Scholes or binomial or Bjerkson-Stensland. Black-Scholes is the oldest one. That was like kind of like the original, and then it's gotten better and more specific. So I wouldn't recommend changing it. But essentially, the Greeks that come up here, delta, gamma, theta, vega, there's actually a Greek that's missing. There's one more Greek called rho, R-H-O, rho. I like to orient the Greeks with what they represent. So D, delta, dollar. Skip gamma, we'll talk about that later. T, theta, time. V, vega, volatility. R, rho, rates, interest rates. It's just my little way of remembering back, right? So how sensitive are options to interest rates? And why would they be sensitive? Because there's a time orientation here, and what we need to understand is what is the risk-free interest rate? Bam, that's interest. That's what this is, right? The thing is that interest rates are pretty stable right now. If the Fed starts to cut rates, then we would see this number go down, and we could see like, hey, if they cut rates while I'm in my option, is that going to have an impact? Yeah, small impact. It'll start to, but it's not like this like instantaneous thing. That's more for modeling. So no, I don't care too much about it. I'm never going to model interest rates changing, but it is good to understand what does that mean? Where does that come from? You also have the ability to impact like volatility adjustments, time. We can adjust here. We can adjust the interest rates. We can adjust, right? So we can adjust all the variables, but we really only need to adjust time here. Price, we do by slices. We like to have multiple pieces to see like what if. So great question. It's very important to have that in the foundation, I think. Let me know if that makes sense or if there's any follow-up questions that come from that. So here, I'm focused on PL Open. Where am I right? Where am I wrong? Where am I now? That's because we're already in the trade. I put this trade on for like 219. I booked some at like 7 and 7.25, 7.5. So if you look here, this is where we are now. This is the live price, $0 offset. This is our current stop loss that we just said, hey, what if we move it to 262.80? We actually said, what if I moved it to 265.80? If I want to be a little bit more, that puts me in a profitable scenario tomorrow. If I stopped out there, I would still make something. So I'm thinking, yeah, okay, I've got that in the cards potentially if I wanted to be a little more aggressive with my stop. Let's just leave it here for now. So, but what's in it for me if this thing keeps going and gets up to my target of 285? That's the target that I had. Let's go back out a little bit. $25. So that would require a breakout, but if we get the breakout, which it seems like it's trying to do, it's maybe a little ambitious. Maybe 280, maybe ambitious. I'm going to leave it there. What if I moved it to 280? What if I said, let's make it easier? Okay, that's still 1,400. That's a great trade right there for those two contracts. Two contracts, 1,400. Now, a couple of things that I want you to look at. Assuming I paid $339. So I don't know if this is like a different trade. If I put it back, I don't know what happened. at $339. Right now I have $250. That's for 2 contracts, that's $125 a piece. So that's $1.25. So theoretically, if I add $1.25, that's how much these should be right now. About $4.64, give or take, right? $4.64. If I create a closing order, it says $4.60, right? There's where that $4.64 is coming in from. That's the current price. That's the current price. $4.64 is where we are now. Okay. Why is that important? Because I also want to know what would the price be here. If it goes to $262.80, what's the option price? 115 is about, we're just going to round it to 120. So we're going to say that's 60 cents. 60 cents per contract is what I'm losing per contract if it drops to that level. From 464, no, from 339. 60 cents. So 339 minus 60 is 279. This is the approximate option price associated with this level here. 464 is current, right? That's where we are right now, where I have $250 of gain. What else do I want to know? For me to make $1,430, that's $715. I'm rounding, $715 per contract. Why is that? Why do I want to do that per contract? Because that's easy to then take $7.15. That's the profit plus $3.39. So that's $10.39, $10.49, $10.54. This is what I think I might be able to sell it for. Not at $285. Remember, we adjusted down to $280 now. $280. $10.54. That was a lot of like, hey, I'm going to try to like extrapolate from my stock analysis. What's the profit? Then I take the profit divided by the number of contracts. Then I can, what does this allow me to do? It allows me to put a bracket with a stop around 280 and a target around 1050. That would be an option bracket matching the analysis of being wrong at 260, and right at 280. That's, if you're like, what the hell are you doing, Scott? That's what I was doing. And one of the reasons I wanted to show you that is that's a lot of work. I prefer conditional or contingent stops, where instead of going through all that work, I'm just going to say, I want to get out if it gets to 280. And when it does, I'm assuming I'm going to get somewhere around 1050, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depending, actually less, because I would have to put some time into it and stuff like that. But that's okay. There's plenty of profit there, right? Where I'm thinking, hey, if it gets up to that and I take my gain, I'm going to make north of $10 on something I paid only, theoretically, I only paid $229 for it. But let's say I paid $339, like it says here. That's a great potential gain relative to the risk I'm taking on this as of right now. I have some gain right now, right? So if you're going to do a bracket order, you have to decide, am I bracketing the option with a stop and a target in an OCO order? That's this right here. Okay. Now I'm going to show it. So I'm going to create a closing order and I'm going to do a sell. Okay. Tell me if my drawings are getting in the way or if this is okay. When I do this sell, I'm going to change single order to OCO. That's now an advanced order. This advanced order is where you can do like first triggers and OCO and all these other things. If we're already in the position, I already have the option. I could do an OCO, which means I need 2 sell orders. So I need to create I'm right clicking on this pink. Gives me this whole sub menu. I'm creating a duplicate. I need another one of these. Now, right away, it's giving me an error. See in red right here? an error is going to show up here. Orders in the same OCO group must differ by instrument, side, price, type, something. So I'm on the same side of the market. These are both limit orders. I can't have two limit orders. So what does that mean? I need one of these to be a stop. And now that order error disappears. Okay, and now my stop, you can see I'm going to change to $2.80. Where's that 280 come from? Comes from down here. That's where we took the stock price, calculated what the option value would be approximately. And then we're now putting it in as our stop level. And I'm going to make it good till canceled. I don't want to have to keep setting this every day. Now, as soon as I hit good till canceled, you'll notice gave me an error. Orders in the same OCO group must have the same TIF, time in force. Can't have one cancel at the day, one good till canceled. Yeah? So I'm going to make this also good till canceled, and I have fixed that. What's my limit? That's my target. That's this. 1054. I'm going to make it easier and just say 1050. Actually, because of the time, I'm going to put 1025. I'm going to give it a little bit extra, right? A little bit extra. And now I have a OCO bracket order. If it drops down and the value of these options drop to 280, it's going to close them. It's going to close them at 280. And when it does, the cancel, OCO, one cancels other, comes into play. One fills, then cancels the other. That's what OCO means, right? If one fills, cancel the other, OCO. So if it goes up and hits 1054, actually we changed it to 1025. If it goes up to 1025 and it hits that and it fills, if one fills, cancel the other. Then that 280, we don't need it anymore. It's going to cancel it. Stop on one side, target on the other. That's what creates the bracket. So when you hear people say bracket, OCO is a big mechanism. They'll do it with stocks, right? With stocks, you can put a stop on one side, a target, an OCO. So you have a stop on one, a limit on the other. There it is. That's the bracket. Now, that one was a little bit longer, a little bit more complex because I had to kind of run some numbers and write them down over here so I remember them. Okay, so let me delete. Now, OCO, and here's what a first triggers OCO is if I actually bought two of these for $3.79 right at the time, I could actually be like, hey, when I buy these, immediately put into place the stop and the target. That's all a first trigger OCO is it just sort of puts some automation. And you guys know I love automation. However, if there's ever a point where I have a stop in place and I look at it in the morning and I have a, shit show of a morning where the futures are way down, what am I going to do? I'm going to pull that stop off. Right? I'm going to pull that stop off. And I'm going to pull the stop off, let it open. If 20 minutes later it's lower still, then I'm going to start working my way out of it and I'm going to get a better price than if I stopped out. But most of the time, I'm going to end up in a better place. So anyway, otherwise there it is. Now, I'm going to, whoops. I'm going to delete this. Can I please post this recording? Not only will I post it, I've already made sure that the audio is working again. So absolutely yes. 100%. I'm going to go back and get those other ones re-uploaded and I'll let you know when they're there because they were good ones. Okay, so let's delete this. We're back here. If we want our numbers back, we can have them back. Right? With everything that we talked about. But at this point, we only need to know We need to know the stop option stock price and the target stock price. 260, 280, 280. I feel like 2S is missing the option price into the risk profile. No, because it's here. So when you look at, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. The what if. You can put it, I think you can, that's why you go to active trader. Fair enough. I don't want to play with it now. Okay, now a conditional order or a contingent. Here, all I have to do, remember, we already have everything we need, so I'm going to clear this. I'm going to right click, create closing order, and sell. I want to sell these options, but I don't want an advanced order now. Single order is fine, right? Single order is fine. Now, I'm going to come over to the cog. I was just distracted by thinking something to myself. A lot of times I used to tell people, you should have a conversation with a broker and be like, this is what I'm putting on. Does that make sense? And that way, if they're like, yes, and then it turns out it was wrong, well, they're on the hook. They said yes, right? You explained it. But one of the things that I think is very, very helpful, if you're a user of like a ChatGPT or something along those lines, you can actually like go to your ChatGPT, set your order up, take a picture with your phone and be like, am I doing this right? And it'll look at it. It knows what to do and it'll actually give you feedback. It's pretty cool stuff. Anyway, I always love integrating that into being helpful. Yeah, it's a great tool when used appropriately, right? So let's do this order. Same thing. We know where we want to get out. Appropriate use. There you go. We know we want to get out if it drops to 260, 280, and we have a good idea what we'll lose if it gets there. We know we want to get out if it gets to 280. We know approximately what it So, where's the magic happen? Right over here, there is a cog. This cog right here pops this order rules box up. I cannot tell you how many times when I walk through this, people are like, oh, I was looking for that box. I couldn't find that box. And this is like, I know. This is the craziest thing. And for a while, there was, you had to like call and ask them to change where the server your account was linked to in order for this to even show up, these advanced orders. It was the craziest thing. I don't think it's that way now. Does anybody not have? If you're a Thinkorswim user, you should go check on this real quickly and make sure that that little cog is there. Gene's like, I didn't even know what that damn cog did till you explained it, right? So And for some people, it's like, what cog? I can't. There's no cog from it. So, anyways, I think they've eliminated it now that it's moved to Schwab. Well, what are we doing with this? We're doing conditions. Okay, so we're going to sell it. Everyone, okay, got it. Good. We're going to sell it at what? Market. We're going to sell it at market. Good till canceled. Now, you'll notice if I move this out of the way, there is a cog on the order line, not on the working orders. If you put a order rules on, a cog will show up on the working orders for you to then go view what the conditions are. I'll show you that here in a second. So if you notice right here, I'm getting an error on my order. Market order must have day. Day. I can't have a good till cancel market. Or can I? If I say I don't want that market order until this stock goes to 62.80 at or below 262.80, or if it goes at or above 280, now, oh look, the order error is gone. Now all I have to do is save. Now you can see there's some other things here. What are some common errors? Don't check these boxes. These are about timing. Submit this order at this time. Just put it in place. I don't need it. There have been a couple of times where I'm like, you know what? On Friday, on expiration Friday, I want this. And I'll put that order in place so that on expiration Friday at 9:30 in the morning, it pops on. It's not very common. I don't have cancel orders typically, but you might have where you cancel an order late in the day on expiration day, something like that. Or 20 minutes after market starts, like I like to wait. Exactly. Cancel if. So what sometimes people will do is they'll put the first order condition here, then they'll go across, and then they have one submit, one cancel. Nope. We don't need cancel. We need to submit this and then this. 2 lines. So then when I save it, you can't tell that there's anything going on here until I hit confirm and send. Then you can see I have sell my 2 contracts at market, good till closed. Ooh, trick the system. If, then I have these conditions. If IBM either A, goes at or below 262.80, or B, it goes above 280. Can you put something on like this, like 20 minutes after the market opens and then slap it on? Sure, absolutely. Automation's beautiful. Now, at this point, if I go ahead and hit now, down here, there's this red error looking message. It's not an error. It's a warning. It says, due to potentially wide markets or liquidity risks at the time of activation, this order may be manually substituted with a limit order upon activation and worked until filled. What does that mean? It means they may actually like try to work an order. The market makers work it on my behalf to get me out. I'm not worried about it because it's SPY. It's chock full of liquidity. But it's actually a good thing. So I'm not like, oh no, yeah, I'm fine with that. Work it out. Send. Now I go to monitor. I go to activity and positions. And you'll notice up here, I have IBM sell to close at market, good till canceled. Here's the mark. What does that have to do with the order? Nothing. That's just the current price. Nothing. Absolutely nothing to do with the order. What is the order based on? Waiting for conditions. And now, Gene, my working order has a cog. And if I click that cog, now I want you to notice something very important about this box, though. Explain order. You can click here until the cows come home. It's not going to let you do anything with any of this. You can't change it to something else. I can't change any of these things because this is just an explanation. This just says that I'm going to submit an order to sell 2 contracts at the current market price if it either goes below 260.280 or above 280. Bing. So there now is the explain order. Okay. Based on Glenn's warning from PJ, if I want to protect with a stop order for buying price of option, what will I do with OCO? Okay, I'm not sure, PJ. I'm 100% following. I'm assuming you're saying that Glenn's giving you a warning about an OCO. So an OCO order, now you'll notice this is not an OCO, this is a conditional order. What does that mean? It means that if it goes up to this price, 280, and this fills, the whole thing is filled. There's no more condition to the downside because there's no more order. The order to sell 2 contracts at market has filled. So only one condition can be met. Only one. You can only hit one or the other. There's no need for a cancel. That's a conditional sell of an option based on 2 bracketed stock prices, one above, one below. That's a bracket order of its own kind. Now, if you're doing an actual OCO order, then you need to configure, and you might have missed the first part, PJ, where we did exactly that. Where we took the price that we think we're wrong on the stock, and then we go backwards and try to work it until we figure out what's the price of the option if it gets there. So if you paid, no worries. If you paid $272 and you're saying at this point, I don't want to sell maybe $250 is your price, maybe whatever your lower price. You need to for an OCO order, you need to have an option oriented price. So you need to have a stop price where you say if the option price drops from 270, so if you paid $272 for it and right now it's at $464, what you're thinking is, well, what's the price you would be willing to sell it at? That's your stop. How far would you let it drop? And then you're going to put that as your stop price. So if it's at $464 right now, you might be like, you know what? I'm only willing to let it drop to $325. That's $50 of profit per contract that you have left. So you could put a stop at $325 on one side and then $10 on the other. There's your bracket, OCO. Stop at $325, limit at 10 or whatever the number is. Yeah, so they function very similarly. Here's how. If you do a stop on the option, it's still going to be a market order, right? If you set up a stop, if you set up an OCO on the option, it's a stop what? A stop loss or stop market. So what happens is when we set up the bracket, if it hits $2.80, when it hits 280, it triggers. 280 is the trigger. What does it trigger? A market order. So I might not get 280. I might get 279. I might get 281. I might get, right? It's still a market order. Anyway, does that make sense? Miguel said, I was doing what PJ questioned. Submitted OCO, did it twice, didn't know you could have multiple conditions. Yeah. Yeah, the conditions on either side is very, very useful. Very, very helpful. If you have 4 contracts, can you do, yes, no, not adding lines, adding orders. Okay, so let's, I mean, honestly, are you guys good if this is just kind of where we spend our time tonight? So, I did OCO, 1 order with 280 and 262. PJ, no, you can't really conflate the two. It's really either a condition or an OCO, or excuse me, yeah, or an OCO. So it's not really a condition and an OCO. It's one or the other. So what you want to be doing is either saying all the contracts are going to be based off of options prices, that's OCO, stop on the option, target on the option, or all of them are going to be conditioned upon the stock price. They all sell if the stock drops. Now, where would be a let me show you what I might do for a second condition. So let's say I decided, you know what? I do think I could get all the way up to 280 on one of these contracts. Right? So I'm going to do anytime you want to change something, you right click anywhere on this order, cancel and replace. Cancel and replace. And what am I doing? I'm actually going to change it so it's only one contract. Just one. And then I'm going to say, all right, let's go ahead and confirm and send this order. Now I have one of these that sells down at 260, 280 or up at 280. Okay. And now I go back to my monitor and I say, okay, there's this order here. What am I going to do? I'm going to create a duplicate order. Bam, just like that. Everything about this order is already in place. I go to the cog. And all I have to do is say, you know what? I want a second contract at 285. Right? 285. So now I have the same stop. I'm wrong if it drops to 262, whatever. And if it drops to there, they'll both sell simultaneously on different orders. Theoretically, it doesn't matter. This is the SPY, or no, this is IBM. Still pretty good liquidity. So I keep saying SPY. Still pretty good liquidity. I'm not worried about it. Now I hit confirm and send. And I say, okay. And now I go look and I have 2 contracts. Whoops. That's fine. Actually, it's not. I can't see. I have 2 contracts of IBM. And I have 2 sell orders. Both of them with 260, 280. One at 285. One at 280. And there it is. And now if it gets up to 280, and as it moves towards 280, what will we do? I'm not going to keep having a stop at 260, 280 as it moves to 280. I'm going to move my stop tomorrow. And when I do that, I'm going to come in and I'll have to move each one of these by doing and we'll do it together tomorrow. Don't let me forget. What will we do? We right click, cancel and replace. Cancel and replace. Change this to whatever's next. 265.80 is next, is what we said, right? Bam, I hit save, I hit confirm and send, I do it to the other one. Now they both have a stop at 265.80 and one's a target at 280 and one's a target at 285. What makes me feel comfortable doing this type A lot of people are like, oh, you can't have these orders, the market makers, blah, blah. Look, man, that's part of the cost of doing business. Trade in high liquidity stocks, then you're not going to be as concerned about it. That's what I say. If you don't trade garbage, illiquid stocks, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. But real quickly, I'm going to delete this now. I'm going to go back here. Now, PJ, the other way that I can do this is, once again, this is the OCO way. I can't do both. I don't want a condition on a condition. This is a condition. The limit is the condition. The stop is the condition. I don't need another condition. So here, I'm going to right-click, create a second order, and make one of these a stop, one is a limit. Now I have two different conditions. This is conditioned on if the stock drops. So right now it's around 464. You paid. So let's say you decide you want to put a stop at 325. And that's where you're making some money, $50 on one side. And the other side, you're going to say, hey, I think it's going to make a move up to 10 or so, right? Or whatever your may be. You're also going to want to make these good till cancel so you don't have to keep coming back in and changing them up. That right there is a OCO order. So OCO is rooted in option prices. Conditional, or what is sometimes called a contingent order, depending on your broker, is rooted in stock prices. If the stock does this, get me out. Tell me what condition my condition is in. That's a classic movie, The Big Lebowski. I don't know if that's what you were thinking of. Give us the money, Lebowski. Love that show. I might watch it tonight now. Okay. What do you guys think? I love that everyone wants the automation. It's like you're feeling the pull to it. You want to get these things in place. It hits your target just for a few minutes. And you're like, bing, I got it. It's there. As you get closer to targets and time frames, you can squeeze those targets and those stops. And I love the automation. Love the automation. I agree with you that your goal is to get more of it. We have to know when to, dial it back. Nothing worse. I haven't had it yet, so I haven't made this mistake in 2 years now. Market gaps down and I hear a bring. I'm like, oh shit. Oh no. Can't always be there, right? 100%. Sometimes the tails are long and they get you out premature. 100%. If you automate, you will get long-tailed out. It's not if, it's when. That's part of why we try to really talk about, like, hey, how much room are we giving stops? How quickly are we tightening? How tight are we making them based on what? Posture. If we know it's more likely to long tail, we're going to be a little bit less likely to put something tighter. But even then, nothing you can do. Sometimes you eat the bear. And now you know where that quote comes from. And sometimes the bear eats you. I don't know if that was ever meant to be a market saying, but I've turned it into one for my purposes. But another Big Lebowski saying, I just thought of that as we're talking about it now. So anyways. Yeah, that was a fun one. Today flew by. I hope it made sense. I hope I didn't go too deep or like not deep enough. I hope it was a good depth. I wanted to try to cover all the angles, which is why I kind of started with like, hey, we really are just trying to understand what does this do to the value of our option, whether it's based on the stock or based on the option. We want to understand reward and risk. Either way we go, we want to understand reward to risk. We want to understand, like, why am I putting it here? What is it worth to me? What are the, and I think if you're doing this, you're managing it the right way. You'll dial it in a little here or there at times, but this is top 5, top 3% level stuff. I love that we're doing this so much. Excellent times. Oh, who would have thought we would have done such a, exciting and fun Monday on an option pricing model platform. God. People would just be green with envy if they knew the good time we were having. Okay, what about real quickly? Let's just talk about at least something about the market. Let's go look at the futures for a second. See how we're feeling about things. Okay, they're flat. We're still pushing. We know that there's buyers there. We talked about there being plenty of powder in the keg. We never doubted the market's ability to push this way, right? So we still don't. And our posture is improving. So yeah, look how quickly I'm moving into just, blue skies and yellow brick roads. It's good to see everybody. Make sure you go now. Do you see why section 2 of your trading plan is so important? Because when we get the posture right, when we get the routines right and the posture right, then the number starts to translate into these types of things where we're like, hey, how careful do we have to be about long tail type action and getting popped out? Less, more? It's been more lately. So we've been more careful lately. We give it more room. We take half. I'm starting to get to where I'm thinking to myself, I'm hitting targets again. Primary targets are getting hit. And when they do, I'm thinking, I sure wish I would have only sold 1 and kept 4 instead of, selling 2 and keeping 3 or selling 3 and keeping 2, right? So that's why the posture is so helpful in us just kind of finding a way to have better organizational structure on an account level rather than going one trade at a time, trade by trade level. Good stuff. Good to see everybody. I'm going to go eat that steak that set off the fire alarm a little while ago. It's been making me salivate ever since. So Glenn will be with us tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow. I will be with us tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. Eastern for some more conversation. Man, I'll tell you what, you guys, we're doing some good stuff. Phenomenal. If it didn't make sense, come back tomorrow. Ask questions. We'll go back through it. Everyone would love to see it again. It's good to see you. Have a great night. As always, happy trading.